Guys, what I'm about to drop you today is going to be crucial for your personal development. Understand that you need to be aware to the fact that you're a failure. Now, most people are unaware to the fact that they're fucking failures. So you have to embrace the fact you're a failure to actually be successful. Because we have a lot of people that go through life that believe they're successful to a certain degree, and they believe that they are that person, but in reality, they're fucking failures, and they never took a step forward to not be one. So to be a failure is to fail at accomplishing specific outcomes by definition. To not be successful is to be a failure. So every time you set something and you set a standpoint, aka a goal for your soul, and then you diminish that goal by not working towards that outcome, you were rendered a failure by your own habits. You are rendered a failure by your own placement of where you placed your time and energy to not be a productive individual and produce that outcome. So every time you said you were going to go to the gym, every time you said you were going to count the macros and read the book and drop the vices, and every time you didn't fully accomplish that, was you rendering yourself a failure to yourself. So on a planet full of failures that believe that to certain degrees they possess a keenness of success, and thus they act as they are, but they are not, because obviously their fucking results prove different. To look at an individual and to see and to be aware to the fact that they're failing at being fucking organisms every time they pick up the drink and the smoke, to fail at being a fucking primate every time they sit there and watch porn, to not be you are possessed by your own mind, to not have full possession over your own mind, and to direct that to outcomes, to have a better experience in the life you get once. To have a goal, to say you're going to do something and to fail at accomplishing and succeeding in that endeavor is to be a failure rendered by yourself. So this is a factual description. This is a factual evaluation that is nothing but general facts put into a conclusion for you to conclude to yourself, to render yourself a failure, to no longer be one. Most of you guys operate from this, cyclical cycle of pretending to be something you're not. But you have to understand that when you sniff out, you can sniff out authenticity, and then you can also sniff out inadequacy that reverberates from your fucking soul every time we're aware of your fucking existence. So when they always seek motivation to be better, when we are aware of your existence, you are the motivation, bitch. So understand that every time you failed at doing something you said you were going to do, bitch, you were rendered a failure by yourself. You decided to make yourself a failure by not accomplishing what you said and set out to do. You were your setback, therefore you are a failure. You were the block in the road, but you were also the vehicle trying to pass through. Therefore, you are a failure because you could have passed through if you weren't the fucking block. So in a world where everyone believes that they are something and someone, you are nothing and no one, because every day you wake up and don't do shit to be something. The work you put into yourself is directly correspondent to what you're worth. The value that you instill into yourself through whatever habits, through whatever endeavors that will induce that, to pick up a book and to learn and to comprehend that and to break that down and to write that into your own words on the book and to fully understand what the fuck you just read, is to increase in existential value, because now you are more of an asset than the individual who has not been reading shit. You are more of an asset compared to the individual who does nothing but play Fortnite, jerk their fucking small ass dick off, and eat and depend on their fucking parents for their fucking life, and then is a subordinate slave depending on someone else who took the risk to be and become. You have to understand that if you are failing at, being a fucking human, which is to be alive, to be animated, to express yourself to the fullest of authenticity, to go out into the world and accomplish what you told yourself you were going to accomplish. Every time you said you wanted to go to the gym and you didn't go, you failed yourself. And, you can think about it as a minor thing, but how many times did you fail yourself? You said you were going to clean up the room. You said you were going to take out the trash. You said you were going to wash the dishes. You said you were going to hop off the game. You said you were going to go on a jog. You made it an habitual responsibility to fail yourself. And so when we call you a fucking failure, bitch, embrace that shit, because that's exactly what the fuck you are until you make the change to no longer fail yourself. And every time you said you were going to do something, you did it. Every time you said it was time to be obedient to myself, to obey myself, and to wake up at that 3 a.m. To always hit the fucking not now button instead of click snooze. To always wake the fuck up when it's time to wake up. To not feel like waking up and to wake up. That is mental discipline. To go to the gym when you don't feel like it. To not pick up a fucking snack when you're fucking fat. You have to understand that in life you need to cultivate discipline. You need willpower. You need to direct your will into causations to create effects that will in return bless you as you continue to, live out your life. Most of you guys are putting your energy into causes that produce shitty effects, and then when your lungs are black as fuck and you're unhealthy and you're fat and you're all this negative shit, well, understand that it's a simple law of cause and effect. And you affected yourself to be that every time you put your energy into the causation of what caused that, to create a causality to be less and to be a lower level piece of shit in the life you get once. So understand that your life is in your hands, and every time you said you were going to do something and every time you set out to go and accomplish something and you failed, understand that you are a failure, and to pretend like you aren't a failure that fails themselves every day at the same things is to be ridiculous, and is to be a bitch, and is to be rendered mentally inferior, because you are your standards, and anything that is not the best is inferior to the best. Therefore, you are inferior by universal and factual evaluation. You are inferior by your own conduct because you fail yourself, and failures are inferior. And if you put your time and energy into inferiority, to choose the lesser option is to be rendered inferior 100%. So do yourself a favor and rise in standard and be a better individual to standardize your higher self and to hold yourself accountable for that low-level, incompetent piece of shit in the mirror that is reflecting back at you. The individual who broke his word every time he said he was going to do something, and to be factually rendered a failure by definition, to fail to produce a specific outcome by directing his or her time or energy through their attention to be a productive individual and to produce a specific outcome with the time and energy, the potential time and energy they woke up with that day. To fail at producing the outcome you wanted for yourself to have a better experience on earth is to be rendered a failure. And so when you pretend to not be a failure, remember you're a fucking failure every time you said you were going to do something and didn't do it. Peace.